So we got to talk about what I've been hearing is going to be the best decks post Burst Protocol. Make sure you guys smash the crap out of that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out on more Oz content. So there has been a lot of discussion creeping through the grapevine about some Iron Man tournament data and some early tournaments that have been concluded on post Burst Protocol. Now, this is very, very interesting stuff, and I'll go over what I have heard. Kongs hasn't done actual tournament data yet, so I won't actually have an idea myself. But from what we're seeing, we have branded Draco Tale and branded sitting on the top of the pedestal here. Now, this is interesting for a couple of reasons here. One, the new Fallen of Albaz, the branded in white, makes that much of a difference. But the problem with these two is while they look similar on paper, there are some key differences. One of them being a double branded fusion, for example. You know, you have twice as likely of an opportunity now in the pure variant to be able to get the deck going, which I think is great. There's also the confliction, and a good branded player will be able to overcome this very easily, but it's the inclusion of the, synchro part of the deck where, you can't actually just brainlessly slam down branded fusions on the table when you make the synchro. That's just not how it works at the moment. So I've read more or less from people just being like, this confliction makes branded very difficult to play. And it's like, no, it doesn't. If you activate the branded, the new guy's effect to attempt a special and your opponent ashes you there, you go like this, and you go, okay, cool, I can activate my branded fusion. You didn't make an attempt to make a synchro at that point. Now, there's also the argument that your opponent could just ash the synchro itself, which would leave you locked out of, essentially the pieces that you would need to kind of produce a further gameplay. That, on the other hand, I think is the best choke point to be able to make that build fall a little bit more apart. Now, do I think branded is going to be better than branded Draco Tale? I think both builds are going to be very, very strong up. And from what I'm hearing from the early tournament data, branded Draco Tale feels like the absolute best deck right now. I guess I'm not surprised about that. You don't get fusion locked until, like later in the combo. And if we're following the same suit that the OCG was doing, we're just going to cut, branded fusion from the deck. We're just going to use the triple Fallen of Albaz and the Incredible Ecclesia to basically facilitate doing everything that we wanted it to do. Plus, we have a synchro coming back during the end phase. We can just go on into the opponent's next turn and take advantage of anyway. It's that sort of, development and things here that I think is fine. And I like that. I like that a lot. And once again, branded getting that major upgrade too, I think puts it in like the, it's not the first place a driver's seat, but it's definitely top 4 for your contender. Double branded fusion in the TCG, Draco Tale basically being unchecked at this point. It's very interesting just to see the current modern limitations that this deck has going for it. So, from what I'm hearing, looks like branded is going to have probably the biggest impact on the future of what we're kind of expecting with the meta. And once again, that makes the most sense. Radiant Typhoon. Now, is anybody shocked to hear that Radiant Typhoon is going to be having a top tender, wait, hold on, what's that? What's that? Harpy's Featherstorm is still around? Oh, no, that's not right. Konami will make a ban. Oh, wait. No, they won't. So, Radiant Typhoon has some of the most interesting evolutions going forward. Because before this latest Japanese ban list, during the last format, Radiant Typhoon was taking down a tournament at least once or twice a week. And they had Forbidden Droplets, Forbidden Crowns, You had Harpy's Featherstorms, which most of the time the Featherstorm was pushed into the side deck. It wasn't something that, we were seeing being pushed around the main deck. No, this was actually, developments that were pushing around in the side deck for the Harpy's Featherstorm. It's a card that, you could call up if you just were like, oh, hey, I can go first this game, I can auto turn skip my opponent and get the game back to me. Also, Thrust is an incredibly broken card. Let's not even get me started on how good thrusting into the Featherstorm actually is. Now, we also get the twins. It's almost like Radiant Typhoon becomes a new deck at this point, because you get the twins, you get the ability to get the Link 2, and we get a brand new spell card. And that is, at this stage, so much good support jam-packed into one deck that genuinely, I can understand why this deck is suddenly going to be good. And also, I hate to say this, but people really don't know how to play against Radiant Typhoon. We've had this deck sitting in the room for so long now that, sure, if you've played Genesis, you had a little bit of an idea on how to handle it. But progressively, the deck just getting so many new tools, plus Crocea just being a stupid fat wall that you can kind of call up and deal with. And then also, you can get cheeky. You're like, oh, hey, maybe I don't want to play the, build that plays all the good stuff. Maybe I just want to play Runic. Well, first of all, you can. All right. It's not a good choice because you're automatically taking the deck down a peg or two. And that's going to cause some consistency points of problems, but that's okay. Right now, the deck, new tools, upgraded consistency, as many forbidden cards as you can jam pack into the deck. Crocea walling up, Crocea getting you resources, Harpy's Featherstorm for the turn skip, the twins for being further interruptions. These are all key components that are making this deck much better. And then I've got to talk about the Yummy evolution. So, from what I have been told, I haven't seen much on this yet, but there's evidently a Yummy Marshmallow Elven. Well, there's a Marshmallow interaction. If you one card open up a Marshmallow, you can do a rip 2 to 3 away from your opponent with Bestials and other stuff. So basically, the way that it works is you end up using the Bestial Dispeter to bring back Omega. You rip multiple cards out of your opponent's hand, and you set up 2 to 3 interruptions. I think it ends up being, from what I was told, 2 to 3 out of hand, and then the potential of a couple of interruptions on the side. That pretty much burns through your opponent's whole hand at that point. Are we at the stage now that we can officially say Elven Notes is a freaking scary deck, people? Because I hate to tell you this, but if Elven Notes and Yummy are coming together and they're making a pile like this, true. And Elven Notes, we've been talking a lot about the deck. It definitely seems like a deck that is going to take a lot of the competitive circuit by storm, and it probably is going to be very surprising by what you're going to be able to do. The TCG's done a good job trying to roll back synchro interactions, but being able to revive Omega to rip 2 is not a terrible interaction. It's just, I do got to take a little bit of a thought process here to go with that. Do I think, once again, this is showing up as the Boogeyman deck. Whether or not this is going to end up being a top-tier competitor, or it's just going to be something you go to the LGS experience and your opponent's playing Yummy Hand Rip, and you're just like, oh boy, I can't wait to play Yu-Gi-Oh! Day, and all of a sudden they hand ripped you, set up this board, and you're just like, wow, I truly love this game. That's a lot to kind of take away. So, I don't know. I'm intrigued with where Burst Protocol is going based on very early things here. And I'm actually kind of hoping for some changes, honestly. But only time will tell here. So what do you guys think? Please, leave a comment down below. Tell me what you guys think. And I will see your beautiful faces back here in a day, guys.
Patrons!
Thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.